Welcome to Real Estate Unlocked, the podcast where we demystify the property market and help everyday Australians make smart, confident decisions when it comes to buying or investing in real estate. I'm Brent Govan, your trusted buyer's agent and property advisor, and today we're tackling one of the most common myths in Australian property. Do you really need a 20% deposit to buy a home? Let's get straight into it. You've probably heard from your parents, your bank, maybe just around the barbecue, that you need a full 20% deposit to buy a property. But here's the truth. While 20% is ideal, it's not essential. That 20% figure is often mentioned because it helps you avoid paying something called lender's mortgage insurance, or LMI. We'll break that down in a moment, but first, let's talk about what's actually possible. In Australia, many lenders will allow you to borrow a property with as little as 5% deposit, sometimes even less in specific circumstances. Here's a basic breakdown. 5% deposit, you can buy a property with this, especially if you're a first home buyer, but you'll likely need to pay LMI. Put a little asterisk and talk about what a first home buyer can and can't do, because there are some advantages. A 10% deposit. More lenders will consider your application. LMI still applies, but it's a bit cheaper. 20% deposit. This is the sweet spot. You avoid LMI, have more equity in your property, and you often get better loan terms. So technically, no, you don't need a 20% deposit to buy a property and get your foot in the door, but there are some trade-offs to consider. First, let's clear up what LMI is, lending mortgage insurance. It doesn't protect you, it protects the bank in case you default on your loan. If your deposit is less than 20%, you're seen as a slightly riskier borrower, so lenders charge this insurance. The cost of LMI depends on the size of your deposit, the value of your property. It can range from a few $1,000s to tens of thousands. The good news, in most cases, it can be added to your loan amount, so you don't need to pay it upfront. But always weigh this up. Paying LMI can make sense if property prices are rising and you want to get it sooner rather than later, even with a smaller deposit. Now, if you're a first home buyer, there is more good news. The Australian government has introduced several schemes to help you enter the market with a lower deposit. One of the key ones, and probably most common that I come across, is First Home Guarantee Scheme, which allows eligible first home buyers to purchase a property with as little as 5% deposit and no LMI. Yes, you heard it, no LMI with just 5% deposit. The government effectively acts as the guarantor for the remaining 15%. There's also the First Home Super Saver Scheme, which lets you save your deposit using your super fund, potentially reducing your tax. Now, these schemes have eligibility criteria like income caps, property price limits, but they can make a massive difference in your buying power. And it's really good to be speaking to your mortgage broker who's all over this, and they are the specialist in that field. One trap many buyers fall into is thinking the deposit is the only thing you need. Don't forget you will have to pay other fees such as stamp duty, conveyancer fees, loan application fees, buyer's agent. You might have a building inspection. If it's an investment property, you might have a tax depreciation schedule to organize. They're all upfront costs. Some states offer stamp duty concessions for the first home buyers, but it's important to budget beyond the deposit. Also, keep in mind your borrowing capacity. Just because you have a deposit doesn't mean the bank will lend you the rest. They'll look at your income, debts, expenses, credit history, and this is where working with a good mortgage broker, this is key to help you plan strategically and understand exactly what you can afford in terms of the purchase you'd like to make. So, do you need a 20% deposit? No, but having one can give you more options, better rates, and avoid some extra costs. That said, if you're financially ready, in a stable job, and have done your homework, waiting for a 20% deposit isn't always the best move, especially if the market is rising faster than you can save. Like all things in property, it's about the right strategy for your situation. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Estate Unlocked. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend, subscribe, Leave me a review. It really helps me reach more buyers just like you. And if you're ready to explore your buying options or you want to help planning your path to home ownership or an investment portfolio, a deposit or not, reach out to me, Govan Property. My name again is Brent Govan. I'm happy to help in any way I can. And this has been Real Estate Unlocked, unlocking your property goal.